Mary Collins was born on July 6, 1999, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Those around her described Mary as a charming, full of life, and caring girl. Her aunt, Cara Williams, noted that Mary seemed to radiate a gentle glow. Caroline Hoare, Mary's elementary school principal, described her as a wonderful child who you always wanted to hug. Mary's presence always created a pleasant atmosphere, and no one could say anything negative about her. She was a very creative person and enjoyed playing the guitar. Mary was born with a rare genetic disorder, DeGeorge syndrome, caused by the absence of a fragment of chromosome 22. This condition can affect a person's nervous system. Most people with this syndrome experience problems with their heart, speech, or behavior. It's considered to be the second most common genetic disorder after Down syndrome. However, most people have never heard of it. Mary was born with an internal cleft palate, which led to significant speech impairments. As a result, Mary was very shy and only communicated with close friends and family. She had poor eyesight, so she wore glasses. Additionally, she had learning difficulties that made performing everyday tasks problematic. Mary had trouble with orientation and could easily get lost even in her own neighborhood. Despite her challenges, Mary strived for independence, using GPS for navigation during her walks. Her cheerful spirit never dimmed, and like many girls her age, she loved experimenting with her appearance. Mary saw the best in everyone, even those who didn't deserve it. Unfortunately, her trusting nature made her vulnerable to those who might take advantage of her kindness. On March 28, 2020, Mary planned to meet with her former classmates, 24-year-old Kelly and 21-year-old Levi. The invitation from her friends worried Mary's family, as Kelly had previously shown aggression towards Mary on social media, insulting her and even encouraging her to commit suicide. However, the girls had later reconciled. Kelly and Levi ordered a taxi for Mary at 2:30 p.m. Mary went to meet them but never returned home. Her family tried to contact Mary, but without success. The last video posted on her page showed her having fun with friends at their apartment. This somewhat reassured her relatives, and they assumed she had stayed with her friends and her phone had simply died. When the lockdown began, people were busy preparing for self-isolation and stocking up on supplies. Mary's family was no exception, which distracted them from worrying about her. After 48 hours, Mary still hadn't made contact. Having access to her mobile data, relatives discovered that the phone hadn't been used for several days. The last phone signal was detected at Mary's friend's house. Mia, the girl's grandmother, went there hoping to find her granddaughter. However, getting into the building proved difficult due to security and surveillance cameras. Mia seized an opportunity when a resident was leaving and quietly slipped inside. Finding her friend's name and apartment number on the mailbox, Mia headed there. Kelly and Levi answered the door, saying Mary had left several hours ago. This deeply worried the grandmother. She knew her granddaughter had poor spatial orientation and never walked alone, fearing getting lost. Mia suspected there had been an argument between the girls, which had happened before. On March 30th, 2 days after her granddaughter's disappearance, Mia contacted the police. However, the officers showed little enthusiasm for the case. In their view, Mary was old enough to decide where and with whom to spend her time. They were convinced she was simply staying with other friends and would return home soon. Later, law enforcement visited Kelly's residence, but no one answered their knock. Without taking further action, they left the scene. Mary's relatives were convinced she was still in Kelly's apartment. They were worried about the girl's condition, considering that her phone's last activity was registered there. Mary's family insisted on a more thorough investigation and apartment inspection. However, the police took no action, not even reviewing the complex's surveillance camera footage to verify Mary's departure. Faced with authorities in action, the family decided to conduct their own investigation. Unable to access the video recordings, they organized round-the-clock surveillance of the building to monitor the situation. During one of these watches, Mary's mother and grandmother knocked on Kelly's apartment. To their surprise, Levi let them in. After inspecting the place, they found no traces of Mary's presence or anything suspicious. However, Levi wouldn't allow them to examine the furthest room, which raised their suspicions. Soon after, Mary's relatives were summoned to the police station and strongly urged to stop their investigation. It turned out that Kelly and Levi had filed a harassment complaint against Mary's family, claiming they felt unsafe. Despite being shocked by this news, Mary's family didn't give up their efforts to find the girl. For Mary's relatives, this became an additional signal that something was wrong. They suspected that her friends were afraid of revealing some important information. Mia again asked the investigators to examine the video recordings from the residential complex cameras to confirm Mary's departure, but was refused. The detectives justified their refusal by the lack of a search warrant and insufficient grounds for suspicion regarding Mary's friends. The grandmother shared her concerns about the forbidden room in Levi's apartment with the police, but this had no effect. Mary's family continued their independent observation of the girl's friends. After establishing contact with the complex's security guards and telling them about Mary's disappearance, the relatives gained access to the surveillance camera recordings. However, it turned out that due to the time that had passed, the recordings had already been deleted. If the police had promptly responded to the family's requests, this important evidence could have been preserved and helped establish the fact of Mary's departure from the house. It became known that the police only issued a missing person alert for Mary on April 3rd, although in such cases every hour counts. This delay was a result of law enforcement's insufficient seriousness towards this case, which significantly complicated the search for the girl. On the same day, law enforcement finally conducted a search of Mary's friend's residence, believing enough time had passed. However, the search yielded no results. Police officers inspected all rooms, including the most remote one. They checked closets and under beds but found neither Mary nor anything suspicious. However, the investigation took an unexpected turn the following day. One of Kelly and Levi's acquaintances contacted the police station and shared a shocking story. He had information about Mary's whereabouts all this time and what had happened to her. According to him, the girl's body was still in her friend's apartment. It was revealed that Kelly, Levi, and their friend James had tied Mary up, taped her mouth shut, beat her in the bathroom, and then killed her. James shared this information with his friend, who in turn reported it to the police. The anonymous source also revealed that the trio didn't know how to dispose of the body. James then reached out to a recent acquaintance named America, whom he met through a dating app, asking for help in covering up the crime. She agreed. Together, the four of them wrapped Mary's body in elastic bandages, several layers of duct tape, and garbage bags, thoroughly treating them with household chemicals, before placing the body in a mattress. They used spices to mask the smell. Upon receiving this alarming report, the police once again arrived to search the friend's apartment. This time, they conducted a more thorough inspection and discovered Mary's body in the very mattress they had previously lifted when searching under the bed. It's astonishing how the police didn't discover the body during their initial search. They claimed it was skillfully concealed. The condition of Mary's remains was horrifying. Her body, partially clothed, bore signs of brutal beating and 133 stab wounds, predominantly on her face, head, and back. Multiple defensive wounds on her arms indicated the victim's fierce resistance. The forensic pathologist couldn't precisely determine the date and time of death due to the initial stage of decomposition. This exacerbated the grief of relatives, who realized that timely police intervention could have prevented the tragedy. The cause of death was multiple stab wounds. Most of them weren't fatal, indicating the attacker's sadistic intentions. They likely deliberately inflicted numerous superficial cuts to prolong the victim's suffering. Their goal wasn't a quick kill, but prolonged torture. On April 4, 2020, the day Mary's body was discovered, Levi posted a strange tweet with an image of a cartoon chicken holding a knife. This apparently was a display of pride in the committed crime. Shortly after, Levi, James, and Kelly were arrested by law enforcement. Mary's documents and bank card were found in the suspect's apartment, hidden among papers. The investigation revealed numerous messages sent by Kelly and Levi to Mary since December 19, 2019. In the correspondence, Kelly intimidated the victim, then justified it as jokes and reconciled with her. Due to her condition, Mary didn't realize she was being bullied, considering such behavior normal. James had a criminal history. Since 2017, he had been repeatedly detained for possession of prohibited substances and theft, serving short prison terms. Kelly was once arrested for assault, but charges were not filed and she was released the same day. Levi had no arrests or convictions. Kelly, Levi, and James were charged with kidnapping and murdering Mary, facing potential life sentences. America, Stindier's girlfriend who helped conceal the body, fled to another state. She was arrested on June 2, 2020, in Colorado and charged with complicity and concealment of murder. America's lawyer claimed she was forced to help hide the body, and that Kelly was the main organizer of the crime, giving orders to everyone. America was released on bail, while Kelly, Levi, and James remain in custody awaiting trial. The court process has been delayed due to constant postponements caused by restrictive measures. James and Levi have not pleaded guilty, and their cases are ongoing. Kelly pleaded guilty and received a sentence of 32 years in prison. In response to Mary's tragedy, her family established a nonprofit organization called Mary's Voice. This initiative aims to raise awareness about Mary's case, highlight issues surrounding the death penalty, create an alert system for missing people with disabilities, and improve law enforcement response. You can learn more about their activities on the Mary's Voice website. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and support the channel by subscribing. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.